Welcome to the Rural Revival Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Larson. Today we're with Kim Ellenz of Old School Seals in Tipton, Kansas. Old School Seals custom makes wax seals and stamps for people around the world, all from a small town. And today Kim is bringing us inside to tell us all about it. She shares about the start of the company and how she got involved, moving the business to Tipton, the intricacies of running an online business, and much more. From working with wedding designers in New York and the South to designing seals for some well-known national brands, this is quite the story. So here we go with Kim Ellenz. Okay, well, we're here today with Kim Ellenz of Old School Seals in Tipton, Kansas. Kim, thanks for being on the podcast.
Yay.
Tell us about you. Are you from here in Tipton?
Yes, I grew up here. My husband and I both graduated high school here. Thought that I would never live here, but here I am. So.
I hear that so often. So how did you guys meet?
In high school. We were senior prom. We were the only two without a date. So we decided the day of prom to go to prom together and thought it was just a friendship thing. But we started officially dating later that summer. So
that's a great story. I love that. So did you always know that you wanted to be entrepreneurs?
I think it was kind of a dream, but didn't realize it. Just always thought I'd have a job. Before doing this, I was an insurance agent. Did not like that at all. Really just didn't realize that I wanted to do this until it happened. And yeah, I think that I was just meant to do it, but didn't realize it until I kind of accidentally fell into it.
Okay, so how did that happen? Where did this all come from?
Our friends started Old School Seals in an old school building, so hence that's
the name.
Yeah. They were, I guess he was right out of the Coast Guard. They were young, they were poor, they were living in this little house with not much, and her dad had an old school building that he was running his building out of in Lorain, Kansas. And so he was needing a gift for her birthday or anniversary, I can't remember which, and his father-in-law had a milling machine, so he milled out this stamp and gave it to her as the present because, they didn't have much money, so this is what he made for her, which is really sweet.
Yeah.
And anyway, they went to find wax to actually use it, and at that time, the World Wide Web was just kind of getting going. I mean, this is like 2001-ish.
Okay.
So it wasn't a real big thing. And so they were trying to find it, and they located a lady, and she was like, "What do you mean you made a stamp? Do you realize, that I could use you?" And so they kind of partnered with her for a little bit, but they realized real quickly that this has potential. We can do something with this. So that's where they started doing it their own. They kind of started with the name SWAC, which was the initials SWAK, sealed with a kiss. And they had some marketing people that didn't really like that one. They didn't like Old School Seals either, but they knew when they had it that that's what they were going to go with. So then you fast forward, they had moved Old School Seals to Ellsworth, Kansas, which is where they eventually were living, and then driving to Lorain. Lorain's just a little town outside of Ellsworth. And they bought a downtown building and started renovating it, moved it into there. And then he decided that he wanted to get like a real job, and the wind farms were just going in. So he went to work there, but they needed somebody to manage Old School Seals and do production for them because they had their first child. So she was limited, and so that's where I came in, and I did it part-time, going to Ellsworth, which is an hour away. I wouldn't go every day, so, and then I worked part-time as insurance. And
Okay.
then then the idea all along was to move it eventually to Tipton so I could do production here and then just still keep everything based out of Ellsworth. And then, long story short, they ended up moving to Alaska and then to Idaho. And it just got to be where it was difficult to continue them managing it from states away.
Yeah.
And so in fall of 2011, I just said, I'll just buy this. So that's where that came from. And so it's now fully in Tipton and on our little corner of Maine.
Yeah. So Tipton is a pretty small town. Mm-hmm. 200 and what's the population?
Yeah, probably just under 300.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So what did it mean to your town to bring in a new business on Main Street?
Well, bringing in a internet-based business was new. They weren't real sure. And you got a town of farmers. I remember the mayor walking in, looking around after we had like a big grand opening. I didn't even own it then, but it was, we did have an opening for, basically it's now being produced in Tipton. So, everyone come check it out, see what we do. And this was a couple days later. He came in and looked around and he just shook his head and was like, well, good luck. And walked out.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was like, wow, that's real encouraging. Thank you. So, you had a lot of farmers, and just looking for a building in Tipton was really difficult. You needed a space. There's like a huge engraving machine. There's peel and stick machines that are huge. There's the size of the dining room table. So, you needed space, and it was difficult. We were very fortunate to find our little building on Main Street, although sometimes it's like, oh, what have we done? We're going to be stuck with this building forever, because who's going to want a building on Main Street, Tipton? But, surprisingly, with Tipton being as small as it is, it was difficult to find a place to move this business into. And, I guess we did it, but when you explained it to farmers, it was like, well, we've got this big milling machine with a CNC lathe, we got an air compressor out back. And so you had to kind of tell them about the equipment you had rather than what you did, because even now it's still, for the whole state of Kansas, a wax seal is a pretty unique concept. They don't really grasp it. But I would say for the townspeople, I hire on contract when needed. To do some of this. A lot of the labor is by hand. So I have like some high school students that I call on and some other townsfolk that will do it, and family. So, I mean, a little bit of employment, but I think people were just glad to see the building fixed up because it had boarded over windows and a boarded over door. So we now have kind of a fancy storefront. So anyway.
And you sell some other things there too, right?
In 2011, I had a gal who wanted a custom wax seal done, and I thought, well, this is an odd design for a wax seal. And so she happened to have her business link at the bottom of her email, and I clicked on it and went to her website and was blown away because she was stamping into metal and making jewelry out of it. So I was like, okay, I need to know how to do this. And she graciously told me. And so I do that. And so that's more something that the locals will grasp. And I sell a lot of that to the locals. I used to do a lot of craft shows, but that was, before 2020. But
yes.
And now I'm in a Give and Grace floral shop in Beloit. They feature a lot of local crafters, and so those businesses that kind of want the Kansas local crafters, I'm very fortunate they do that. But it's hard to keep up with some of that stuff, and of course jewelry trends are always changing. So I'm kind of just like, oh, I don't know if I have the creativity to keep doing this, but. Just take a few of my basic pieces, and that seems to be what people like. And we've customized it to where we can do key rings and stuff for local high schools and sports teams. So that seems to be very popular.
Perfect. So this really is a family business.
Yeah. Well, I don't have to hire as many high school kids now that I have a 12-year-old that can do it. And she kind of took the earring thing and ran with it. So she makes her own earrings. And I didn't even have to show her how. I don't know if it's just the crafting side of her came from the fact that she's been there since she was a baby. So she went to work with me, and she can work a little jewelry pliers like anybody. I mean, she just goes to town with it. And then my husband does all the programming. He's the one that I call when it's like, this machine's not working, come fix it. So yes, truly a family business. So
Very fun. Since you do this as a family, do you have to be intentional about getting time together away from work?
no, that's not usually a problem. So most of the time with us, it's intentional about actually getting to work. We actually have to do this. Come on. Just this morning, we had this discussion about, since Darren does all the programming of the wax seals, basically that means he has a computer, a software program where he takes the file of a person's logo. Right now, he has 2 wedding ones to do. We work with a lot of wedding designers in New York and in the South. It's a popular thing there. So this design firm in New York currently needs, some wedding ones done. So he basically takes their artwork and creates a file that the engraving machine will recognize. But he does work a full-time job on top of everything. He's a master electrician, and so he keeps busy with that. So sometimes it's like, oh yeah, I forgot you have to program that, because he has to do it after hours. So
Yeah.
he's like, he'll be ready for bed and be like, oh, I need that programmed.
Well, that's good. Talk to us about your process. So if somebody wants a custom seal, how does that work? What do they do?
Typically, we like them to have a file or an idea of what they want. I'm working with a lady now who said she wanted a custom seal. And I was like, okay, do you have artwork? And she's like, no, how do I go about getting the artwork? And an example is another customer that sent a photo of a family crest. And it's like, okay, we're going to need we need a graphic designer to do that up. So typically, they come to us already with a file for that, a vector file. And then, it's emailed to Darren, and he creates the program. It's then sent I pull it up on our engraving milling machine, and it runs, engraves into what I call it our blanks, but they are the stamp blank itself. They're Kansas made as well. They are made in Norton, Kansas.
Okay.
So Miltech Machine has made us those for years. It's either an aluminum base blank or a brass, and so we engrave it, polish it up, and they have their wax seal stamp. But we also sell peel-and sticks, which are ready-made wax seals that are flexible, and they have adhesive backing on them. So those require a little bit more work. They're either done by hand, most done by hand, and then if the client wants them gold-tipped, they're gold-tipped, adhesive backing put on, which is where a lot of like the students or our daughter Nora comes in and puts the backing on, and then those are packaged and shipped. So a lot of times they want both. Or we also sell, if they just want a wax seal, we sell the wax. We sell like 3 different kinds of wax, to very brittle, very traditional, to a blended wax, and to a faux wax. So they all kind of, we kind of work with the client to know what they want, what they're really needing, and usually can suggest the best one. So,
And it takes a special wax, right?
yeah.
Okay.
The wax is not really. I mean, we have some that we used to sell in candle form. We don't do that so much anymore. just because, you have to basically give instructions on how to, use a flame. Liability of somebody burning their house down because of one of those is kind of crazy. But we have little wax ovens they're safer. They're just more convenient. The faux wax and the blended wax come in the form of a hot glue stick, and you can melt them through a hot melt gun. We call it hot melt gun. It's technically just a glue gun.
Okay.
A hot glue gun, but we call it hot melt gun. So.
Okay. It's funny how different parts of the country, we have our own terms, don't we?
Well, we like to think of that as a wax sealing type term.
Okay, awesome. So could you, if you wanted to, I'm just curious, could you take a candle and do it or does it just not work that way?
You could. And you'll get a very traditional wax seal. You might even get it with some black soot in it because of the candle, the flame. And a lot of people, they want a modern looking seal. They want the edges real trimmed. We offer, that's, kind of one of the other questions that we work with. Do you want the modern edge or do you want a traditional edge? Do you want the real wavy? Because back in the day when they, King Arthur or whatever did it, with his ring, he would just melt. Yeah. Well, I'm sure his servants would melt the wax and, it would be full of soot and it would not be a perfect circle. And you wouldn't even, traditionally, a lot of times you wouldn't even get the whole image of the seal in there. So, and there are people that want that. It's very cool. So.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So you literally have clients from all over, international even?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. We haven't done international for a while. I don't know, maybe there's a few other companies in Japan and Canada both have wax seal companies, but we used to ship a lot to Japan.
Okay.
So it must have been a thing there, but we don't ship so much international anymore, but we do have a client that I believe that he ships them international. He works with clients. So we ship it to his United States address and then it goes from there. So, but we have no way of knowing if they're international or not. We just know when we ship to him that they might be going international, but we don't do so much international anymore, but we do a lot, like I said, New York and the South, the southern states. Those are big for us.
Yeah. Are you one of the only people that do this in America?
I don't know. We kind of used to be. I think we might be the only ones that will do a custom one on site.
Okay.
I think others may order them. There's that are engraved. There's others that are molded. They're more of a molded wax seal. We often get questions like, "Oh, are you the one that's on like the Tanqueray gin bottle?" And it's like, no, that's a molded wax seal, so it's not a stamped. Basically, that goes through just a plastic molding process, so it's not a true wax seal. But we have done wax seals for Tanqueray.
Awesome! It's so fascinating. Right out of Tipton, Kansas. What have been some of the biggest things you've learned as you've grown the business?
Probably financially. I've learned that if you charge someone's credit card and it's a stolen card, the credit card companies are not the ones that are responsible. That basically I charged a card, and then you get a letter in the mail saying that was a fraudulent, somebody had stolen that guy's card, and I don't know why you would steal a card and then order a wax seal.
Right. Yeah.
It's happened.
Wow.
And then I'm the one that basically takes the heat on that one. So you basically have given up product for no, you've done the service, but you don't get payment for it. So we definitely learned a lot about credit cards and the online shopping cards, and then just financially. Social media, of course, I've grown with that. I try to keep up with that. I've not done so good in the last few years. I feel like all social media, you need to tie it back to a website. And I was really big into doing a lot of social media classes that were really challenging, like, oh, you need to do a post a day, you need to do this, but they were all saying that you need to have it tied to a website. And the website at the time, I didn't feel I wasn't as proud of as what we have now. It just, there were, I just didn't feel like it was a website that I wanted maybe on social media. So I just kind of thought, the website's working, so maybe the social media thing needs to be cut back. But then a local photographer came to me and just said, I think that you could have a pretty website. We could do a pretty website for you. And that's what I guess I was wanting. I was wanting something maybe, with all new photography. The photography we'd been using was from the very beginning. So, it needed updated.
Yeah.
We'd updated the website, but just didn't update the pretty factor. Of course, my husband was like, as long as it functions, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But now with the local photographer, Eberly Studios in just town to the north in Cawker City, they came in, did all new photography, did an amazing job. We really love the website.
It's great. Yeah, I agree.
Colleen did, of course, Cole took the photography. He did all the pictures. Colleen did all the hard work. She researched it, and she really put a lot of time into it. Of course, that costs money.
Yep.
A lot of people are like, well, can't you get a website for a couple $100? And well, not with new photography for one, but also when you go to add shopping carts and links, and we have so many options, all of that, every one of those little options cost. And so, yeah, it was not cheap. They did it probably too cheap, in my opinion, but they feel happy with it. I'm happy with it. But we did have quotes from different companies in like Manhattan, Kansas, that were well over $12,000. So anyway,
Yeah.
that you definitely learn real quick that sometimes it's you got to put a lot into it to get the sales.
But with a digitally based business,
yeah,
there's a big return on that for you too.
Yes.
Just that's your first impression with somebody.
Exactly.
Is your website.
Exactly. And I have said for years, even before I had a wax seal company, that the invitations to your wedding they set the tone for your wedding. They are the first impression for what your wedding day is going to look like. That your guests are going to see. And I do work with some local brides and helping them with that. It's like, it wouldn't cost that much more just to use some finer paper, or, to add this or to add the wax seal here. Probably my favorite bride to work with happened to be my husband's niece.
Aww.
But she just turned me loose. She said, this is what we want, and I trust you. And she was so happy. She was like, it looks like I paid $12 a piece for these invitations. And I said, well, there are people in New York that will, not necessarily here in Kansas, but yeah, she did not pay anywhere close to that. So it was just a matter of just little details that don't cost a lot, that it's your first impression. So the website shouldn't be any different.
Yeah, absolutely. What have you seen people, I think in our heads we traditionally think like wax seals on envelopes, or even like you said on a bottle, but what are other things that people use seals on?
I have a candle company in Alabama, and that is their label, their logo for their candles. So it goes on candles. I am currently working with a bride who is going to, she's I can't think of what her actual job is now. But she's a plant lady, literally, like she has the education to go with it. So she's going to kill me if she hears this.
Horticulturist?
Yeah, there you go. Let's go with that.
Okay. Sounds very official.
Yes, I believe that's what her official title is. And she's a sweetheart. So Cassie, don't hate me. She is doing wedding favors with little flower seed packets, and so she's going to seal the little flower seed packets with a wax seal. So I love when brides get kind of non-traditional like that.
Yeah.
As far as other things, we've actually made wax seals that we've inverted so they can stamp into like bars of soap.
Oh, yeah.
So you kind of invert it where the design's not the raised part, but it's the part that actually gets kind of engraved in the bar of soap.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But we actually had a guy do that with he had a big party and he wanted his blocks of ice for the whiskey glasses. Because that's a thing, apparently. And we were like,
cool.
I didn't know we could do that, but we did. It's
wow.
cool. Yeah, he's so proud of that. He's like, that impressed all my friends.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so,
that's really neat.
Yeah, and then we have our friends and their honey business. So, yeah, there's just, we actually do a lot of honey. I know we have a guy in Oregon. They kind of seal their jars with honey, or that's their label for their honey, and that's a big thing because honey is a big thing. There's a lot of people growing backyard hives and stuff. So I know there's probably Darren would be here, he would have something off the top of his head that was odd, but I don't know. I mean, we've done a lot of things, and a lot of times you don't know what they're actually being used for. Obviously, when we have sometimes to sign disclosures. When the Colonel was making a big comeback for KFC, Kentucky Fried Chickens, several years back, they brought back the Colonel. We did a wax seal that you knew was the Colonel. But so I was like, okay. And then when we did a slice of cheese. It was a block of cheese. I can't remember, but they wanted it as close to Velveeta cheese as possible. But we didn't know exactly what it was going on, but it was something for Velveeta cheese.
Wow.
So, and we've done a wax seal for Target. Just different things like that. But you don't always know because you sign a disclosure. And we've worked with a client who was working with their client, Ralph Lauren. So sometimes the bigger the name, though, the bigger the pain.
Sure.
That one kind of everyone here just kind of cringes when you say that name because we couldn't get the color matched exactly. So it's like, well, this is wax seal. So, but they wanted a specific color.
Okay.
So sometimes it can be painful.
Yeah.
But my very first day of working with them in Ellsworth, they did. I did some green wax seals, and they were the People's Choice Awards.
Wow.
And they were the seal that was supposed to go on the envelope of the awards that they opened when they announced the winner. But that was the year of the writer's strike. And so there was actually no ceremony that year.
Oh, bummer.
But it's like, I did those. But a friend of mine came to help one day. And, by this time, you're just like, oh, yeah, these names, okay. But one of the designers, the wedding designers, from probably New York, wanted a wax seal with that one of Trump's ex-wives, is it Ivanka, she was getting married, and I was like, okay, and we just did it, and they wanted him gold tipped, and so a friend of mine came, and she was beside herself. She's like, I can't believe we're doing these.
Yeah.
I can't believe this. And I'm like, yeah, just keep putting that gold on it.
Don't get distracted.
Yeah. Just get the job done.
Yeah.
So,
Well, what advice would you have for other entrepreneurs or hope to be entrepreneurs in small towns?
just have a lot of grit. It takes a lot of grit. Not, I think some of your older generation don't, especially in my case where it was a web-based business, they didn't understand that. But I think that there's going to be your naysayers that, oh, well, you can't possibly do that in Tipton, I think you can. Obviously, we've always, when we opened the building and got it all done, everyone's like, this looks like such a cute little coffee shop. You should do a coffee shop in here. And it's like, well, I could do a coffee shop and a feed store. I think that would probably get the farmers in. They'd come in for coffee and buy their feed as well. And, that was something I joked about, a long time ago. Of course, we are now our feed store. We no longer have feed in town, so I could actually maybe do that.
Yeah.
But, just using that as an example that, people, you just have grit because you're going to have to put up with the naysayers. But for everyone that thinks you can't do it, there's 3 more that are behind you all the way, 100%. So.
And you've been here. I mean, this is not, you didn't just start this a couple years ago. Like, this has been, you've had the longevity. And so you've gotten to show them, like, this does work.
We've been on Main Street of Tipton since very late 2007, early 2008. So, I'm hoping I don't have to go anywhere. But Tipton itself is just the little town that could. I mean, we still have we have a pre-K through 12 school, and we have a grocery store, knock on wood. She does a great job. We have a local hardware store, and we used to like to joke that we have a wax seal manufacturer and Army restoration, Jeep Army restoration. He used to restore Jeeps, just a couple doors down from me, since he's passed, so it no longer, but, and then we have, one of the largest, bird, they raise game birds, and it's one of the largest in the nation right here in Kansas for pheasants. And, we have a lot of unique businesses, but I just feel like, we're just the little town that can. So.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many towns out there this size that would love to have all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So to have those things and not have a huge population is really incredible.
Yeah, and I think that's what's unique about, like, even like the bird game business. About my business is we don't necessarily rely on the locals. We don't rely on the local economy. It's scary, though, when we have Great Plains Manufacturing on Main Street, and they've got a lot full of stuff that, needs sent to Ukraine and Russia.
Wow.
That's not going to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's kind of frightening in some ways. But, we just keep our fingers crossed and keep hoping that we can do it.
Yeah, keep going. Well, what's next for you? Any big plans with Old School Seals?
Last year at this time, I would have said to launch that website.
Yeah.
So we kind of got that launched.
Uh-huh.
I would want to build on that, maybe get back to more of the social media to promote that website, to draw people to the website, because when I post on social media, if I use one of the photos from the website, it always gets lots of likes and comments. And it's like, just go to the website, because there you're going to find the awesome stuff, and there you're going to find the wax seal you're looking for and everything.
Yeah.
So, that's maybe just to get more people to that website now that it's launched.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big project.
Oh yeah, and it looks great. It really does.
Yeah, well, all the credit goes to Everly Studios.
Yeah, and I mean, you had to think through so much of the customer experience in each product, and there was a lot that involved. So well done.
Yeah, well, and it was helpful having it's actually helpful having somebody that doesn't understand wax seals to go through it and ask those questions that you don't think of when you know all about them, so you just assume everybody else does. But that's one of the biggest things is no, not everybody understands how this works.
Yeah. Well, I found you through social media, which then led me to your website, so it's working. Well, how do we follow along? How do we find you on social media and online?
Old School Seals on Instagram and Facebook, oldschoolseals.com for our website. I guess that's probably...
That's perfect. We will link to that in the show notes.
Yay.
Kim, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Love what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys for coming. It was awesome.
Well, I love this unique business and how they are thriving in their small town of Tipton. Typically, we talk to people who are a few years into their entrepreneurial journey, so it's really great to have the opportunity to hear from a more seasoned small business owner, and there was so much we can learn from Kim. Huge thanks to Kim for being on the podcast, and thanks to you for tuning in. Have a great day, everybody.